You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. This is not only a fact, it's the famous quote from the great one, the greatest hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky. Well, little did my 7-year-old self know how true these words would be then and how true they are to this day. So let me share with you a little story on how this applies to your life too. Being a child of the 80s, back when the Edmonton Oilers were a dynasty, I think those days are going to come again. Every Canadian kid was a fan of Wayne Gretzky. He even had his own cereal called Pro Star Cereal. And one time on the back of the box, there was a contest. And like my parents usually did, they filled it in, sent it in, and didn't think much more about it. Until one day, we got the call. We won. We won. They flew my whole family down to Edmonton, where they saw the Edmonton Oilers beat the Vancouver Canucks 13-0. Still one of those record games to this day. After the game, being only 7 years old, they actually took me into the dressing room. When I entered, Mark Messier gave me a little noogie. I met Yari Curry, Grant Fuhr, and the great one, Wayne Gretzky. Here's a picture. The next morning, things were delayed a little bit because Wayne had to sleep in. I mean, he had a pretty productive day. I think he had 5 points the game before, but there was one shot that he felt he should have got, and he stayed after the game to practice that shot over and over and over again so he wouldn't miss it next time. Part of the reason they called him the Great One. Needless to say, they picked us up in a limousine and drove us to his penthouse, where he greeted us. He brought us into his home. He served us breakfast, which was Pro Stars, obviously, and Eggs Benedict, which was my first time having Eggs Benedict, and I loved it. Definitely not my last time having Eggs Benedict. He gave us a tour of his home, was very gracious with his time. He signed lots of autographs. Here is the vintage stick that he autographed for me, and answered all of our questions. Us being a family of magicians, my dad got to perform a couple of magic tricks for him. Following this, we went down to the West Edmonton Mall, where the team was having their practice, and we got to sit in the players' booth with them at their practice. All this just further cemented my lifelong Oilers fandom. But it also taught me something very important at a critical age. Although things might seem improbable, nothing was impossible. I mean, ours was simply one of 10,000 ballots they received, and we won. And this isn't the first time my family won. Now, let me get to how this applies to you, but we won 2 snowblowers, 2 years back to back. How did we do that? My dad entered a contest in the local radio station where you had to guess when the first snowfall would be. Now, obviously there is some luck involved here, but he took the shot. Our last Christmas tree was this beautiful 7-foot designer Christmas tree. How did we win that? There was a contest at the local mall, they entered it, and we won a Christmas tree. Now you could look at that and say, well, your family is just really lucky, and we are. I feel very fortunate. But the fact is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. They took the shot. Now, in no way, I am not a gambler, and I am not recommending gambling. These were all free contests, no stakes. But what other shots have you not taken? Is there a degree that you wanted to pursue, but just kind of rationalized yourself out of? It's impractical right now in my life. Is there a epic family vacation you've always wanted to take your family on, but just, it's not a good time right now. There's always reasons not to do it. I'm talking about reasonable goals here. I'm not suggesting that, like, if you're like me in my 40s, wanting to crack an NHL roster at this point is pretty much off the table. But are there any other shots that you haven't taken? Maybe you want to learn a new language. Maybe you want to start a business. Well, if you take these shots, you might not score. That's just the truth. You might not score, but you will miss 100% of the shots you don't even take. So I'm hoping that today, maybe this video could just be that little push to maybe reconsider that dream you once had, dust it off, and maybe you actually could pursue it. At least take a chance, because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And in the famous words of Martin Luther King Jr., you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. So if there's a shot you haven't taken yet, take it. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, subscribe. Please do like this video, share your comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for tuning in.